What if I told you that right now, as you listen to this, your brain is already preparing for tonight's sleep by marking certain experiences with invisible neural bookmarks? What if you discovered that your dreams aren't random chaos, but actually sophisticated training simulations that help you survive real-world threats? And what if you learned that losing just 1 hour of sleep costs you 2 IQ points the next day? Welcome to the extraordinary world of sleep psychology, where science meets mystery and your unconscious mind performs feats that would make the most advanced computers jealous. Over the next hour, I'm going to share with you 100 of the most fascinating, mind-bending facts about what really happens when we close our eyes and drift into the night. You spend roughly 1/3 of your entire life sleeping. That's about 25 years if you live to 75. But here's what will revolutionize your understanding. Those aren't wasted hours. Your sleeping brain is actually more active in some ways than your waking brain, orchestrating an incredible symphony of memory consolidation, emotional processing, and psychological repair that scientists are only now beginning to understand. Some of these facts will amaze you. Others might disturb you. All of them will change how you think about that mysterious state we call sleep. So get comfortable and prepare to discover why sleep isn't just rest. It's the secret foundation of everything that makes you human. Fact number 1, your brain's time machine. We begin with something that sounds like pure science fiction, but is absolutely real. During your sleep, your brain doesn't just replay your memories, it accelerates them to superhuman speeds. Memory replay during sleep occurs at 6 to 20 times faster than the original experience, compressed into tiny windows of just 100 to 300 milliseconds. Let that sink in for a moment. If you spent an hour learning to play piano today, your brain might replay that entire hour of practice in just 3 minutes while you sleep tonight. It's like having a time machine in your head, allowing your brain to practice and perfect experiences over and over again in fast forward. This isn't random either. During your waking hours, certain experiences trigger what scientists call sharp wave ripples. These are like neurological bookmarks that say, hey, this is important. We need to work on this tonight. Only the experiences marked with these ripples get the VIP treatment during sleep consolidation. Think about the implications. Every day, your conscious mind is tagging experiences for your unconscious mind to process. Your brain is constantly deciding what deserves the premium overnight processing package and what can be discarded or filed away in basic storage. Fact number 2, the threat simulation chamber. Here's something that might completely change how you think about nightmares. Dreams aren't just random neural static. During REM sleep, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, fires in patterns remarkably similar to how it responds to real survival threats. This supports what's called threat simulation theory. Those dreams about being chased, falling, or facing danger, they're not psychological garbage. They're training sessions. Your sleeping mind is literally running you through simulated dangers in the safety of sleep, helping your brain practice faster threat recognition for real-world situations. The emotions you feel in these dreams are completely real, even if the content isn't. Your brain is encoding and constructing memories of emotional experiences, using dreams as a kind of emotional first aid station where you can process fears and anxieties without real-world consequences. This explains why people who experience more nightmares often show faster reaction times to actual threats when awake. Your brain is using sleep to make you a better survivor. Fact number 3, the memory rescue mission. Now, here's something that will make you appreciate light sleepers in a whole new way. During stage 2 of non-REM sleep, your brain produces what scientists call sleep spindles. Brief bursts of activity that look like spindles on an EEG machine. But these aren't just interesting patterns, they're memory rescue missions. Sleep spindles preferentially consolidate weakly encoded memories rather than strong ones. In other words, if you barely learned something during the day, if it was just hanging on by a thread in your memory, your sleep spindles will specifically target that weak memory and strengthen it. They act as a rescue mechanism for memories that might otherwise be completely forgotten. This explains why sometimes you wake up suddenly understanding something that confused you the day before. Your brain literally worked on it all night, using sleep spindles as tiny repair crews for your struggling memories. The brain essentially triages your daily experiences, giving extra attention to the memories that need the most help. It's like having a personal tutor working the night shift in your head. Fact number 4. The 4 Hz emotional healing frequency. Here's where sleep psychology gets almost magical. Scientists have discovered that REM sleep theta activity at precisely 4 Hz is essential for something called emotional memory extinction. This specific frequency is uniquely effective at helping your brain process and neutralize traumatic or emotionally difficult memories. The 4 Hz frequency works across a wider range of input strengths compared to higher frequencies like 10 Hz, making it particularly robust for emotional healing. It's as if evolution found the perfect frequency for emotional repair. Not too fast, not too slow, but just right for helping you process and move past difficult experiences. This discovery has huge implications for understanding PTSD, anxiety disorders, and emotional recovery. Your brain literally has a built-in frequency for healing emotional wounds, and it operates specifically during REM sleep. Every night, your brain is running an emotional healing program at exactly 4 Hz. Fact number 5. The critical 90-minute window. Here's a fact that could revolutionize your study habits forever. Scientists have discovered that there's a critical 90-minute window after learning where your brain is most receptive to sleep-dependent consolidation. Memories that don't receive sleep support during this window show permanently impaired consolidation. This means if you learn something important and then stay awake for more than 90 minutes, might be compromising your brain's ability to properly store that information forever. It's like having a narrow window to save your work on a computer. Miss it, and some of that work might be lost permanently. But here's the fascinating part. Different aspects of learning are processed by different sleep stages. Stage 2 non-REM consolidates the sequential aspects of motor learning, like the order of movements in a dance routine. REM sleep handles the spatial and contextual components, like remembering where you were and why the learning was important. Your brain is essentially running different consolidation programs simultaneously, each specialized for different types of information. Fact number 6. Adult-born neurons work the night shift. Here's something that overturns decades of assumptions about adult brains. We used to think you were born with all the neurons you'd ever have, but we've discovered that your hippocampus, the memory center of your brain, continues producing new neurons throughout your entire life. But here's the really interesting part. These adult-born neurons are specifically active during REM sleep and are absolutely necessary for contextual fear memory consolidation. When scientists experimentally silence these new neurons, memory consolidation fails completely. This means you have specialized night shift workers in your brain. Neurons that were literally born in your adult brain and whose primary job is to help you process and consolidate memories while you sleep. These aren't leftover cells from development. They're purpose-built for adult sleep-dependent learning. Every night, your newest brain cells are working to help you make sense of your experiences and store them properly for future use. Fact number 7. Sleep spindles travel like waves. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, and during sleep, they need to coordinate in ways that would make the most sophisticated orchestras jealous. Sleep spindles don't just appear randomly. They travel across your cortical surface like waves, moving at a precisely measured speed of 1.2 to 3.5 meters per second. This wave-like movement ensures that different regions of your brain synchronize in exact temporal sequence during memory consolidation. It's like a perfectly timed neural relay race where each brain region gets its turn to contribute to the memory consolidation process. Miss the timing and the whole process falls apart. The precision is staggering. We're talking about coordination across billions of neurons, synchronized to within milliseconds, happening automatically every single night of your life. Your brain is performing feats of coordination that we can barely comprehend, let alone replicate artificially. Fact number 8. 2 types of sleep spindles, 2 different jobs. Not all sleep spindles are created equal. And this discovery has revolutionized our understanding of how memory works during sleep. There are actually 2 distinct types: fast sleep spindles operating between 12.5 and 16 Hz, and slow spindles running between 9 and 12.5 Hz. Fast spindles are the memory consolidation specialists. They're generated during the peaks of slow oscillations and are specifically responsible for consolidating declarative memories, the facts, events, and information you consciously learned. Slow spindles, on the other hand, support local cortical processing without significantly improving overall memory performance. Think of fast spindles as your brain's librarians, carefully filing away important information in the right mental folders. Slow spindles are more like maintenance workers, keeping the local neural neighborhoods running smoothly, but not necessarily organizing the big picture. This division of labor allows your brain to simultaneously maintain local neural health, while also conducting large-scale memory organization operations. Fact number 9. Creative recombination during REM. During REM sleep, your brain does something remarkable. It actively combines elements from different experiences to create novel associations and insights. This isn't just random mixing. It's creative recombination that can lead to genuine breakthrough moments. The reduced activity in your prefrontal cortex during REM sleep allows for less inhibited thought flow, while the memory consolidation process creates new neural pathways between previously unconnected ideas. This is why you sometimes wake up with solutions to problems you couldn't solve the day before. Historical examples of this are legendary. Paul McCartney wrote yesterday after hearing the complete melody in a dream. August discovered the ring structure of benzene after dreaming of a snake eating its own tail. These weren't just lucky accidents. They were the result of REM sleep's natural creative recombination process. Every night, your brain is essentially running a creativity workshop, taking the pieces of your daily experiences and reassembling them in new and potentially innovative ways. Fact number 10. The brain's conflict resolution. When you have multiple similar memories competing for storage space, your sleeping brain becomes a master conflict resolver through something called pattern separation. During sleep, your hippocampus actively differentiates between similar experiences, making sure each memory maintains its unique identity. This process prevents memory interference and ensures that similar but distinct experiences don't get confused or blended together. It's like having a meticulous filing system that not only stores memories but also makes sure they don't get mixed up with other similar memories. Without this pattern separation process, your memories would become increasingly muddled and confused over time. Every similar experience would interfere with previous ones, creating a chaotic mess of overlapping recollections. Your brain essentially performs quality control on your memories every night, ensuring that each experience maintains its distinctiveness and doesn't contaminate related memories. Fact number 11. The 60% amygdala hurricane. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it fundamentally transforms your emotional brain. When you're sleep deprived, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, becomes 60% more reactive to negative emotional stimuli. That's not a small increase. That's a complete transformation of your emotional landscape. But it gets worse. Sleep deprivation also disrupts the connections between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for emotional regulation and rational thinking. It's like having a smoke alarm that's become hypersensitive, while simultaneously disabling your ability to evaluate whether there's actually a fire. This explains why everything feels more intense and more upsetting when you're sleep deprived. Your brain is literally primed to see threats everywhere, while being unable to rationally assess whether those threats are real or manageable. The emotional dysregulation from sleep loss isn't just feeling grumpy. It's a fundamental rewiring of your brain's threat detection and response systems. Fact number 12. The 2 IQ points per hour rule. Here's a sobering mathematical reality. For every hour of sleep you lose below 7 hours, you lose approximately 2 IQ points on cognitive tests. This isn't just feeling a bit foggy. This is measurable, quantifiable cognitive impairment. The effects are cumulative and exponential. Your attention lapses don't just increase linearly with hours of wakefulness, they multiply. After 16 hours awake, your reaction times are equivalent to someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. After 24 hours awake, you're performing like someone who's legally drunk. But here's the scary part. Most people dramatically underestimate their own impairment. Sleep-deprived individuals consistently rate their performance as better than it actually is, creating a dangerous blind spot in self-awareness. You literally become less intelligent with each hour of lost sleep, and you become less capable of recognizing your own impairment. Fact number 13. The trait of vulnerability. Not everyone responds to sleep deprivation the same way, and this difference appears to be a fundamental, stable characteristic. Individual vulnerability to sleep deprivation is trait-like, remaining consistent across multiple exposures throughout a person's life. About 10 to 20% of the population has genetic variations that make them much more vulnerable to sleep loss, while others seem almost superhuman in their ability to function on minimal sleep. These differences aren't just about willpower or adaptation, they're written into your genetic code. Scientists have identified specific genetic variants that predict how severely sleep deprivation will affect cognitive performance, attention, and mood. It's like having a genetic vulnerability card that determines how well you can handle all-nighters or shift work. This explains why some people can pull all-nighters and seem fine the next day, while others are completely debilitated by even minor sleep loss. It's not about toughness, it's about genetics. Fact number 14. The cognitive roller coaster. Sleep deprivation creates something called state instability. Periods of normal cognitive function alternating unpredictably with severe impairment. You might feel sharp and focused one moment, then find yourself completely unable to concentrate the next. This happens through microsleeps, brief episodes where parts of your brain literally fall asleep for seconds at a time while you're still awake. These aren't full sleep episodes you'd notice. They're tiny neural blackouts that create attention lapses and cognitive failures. The unpredictability makes sleep deprivation especially dangerous. You can't rely on feeling impaired as a warning because your performance will vary dramatically from moment to moment. You might feel fine right up until you make a serious mistake. It's like having a car that runs perfectly most of the time but randomly loses power without warning. The unpredictability is more dangerous than consistent impairment would be. Fact number 15. The 4-day recovery reality. Here's perhaps the most sobering fact about sleep debt. Research indicates it takes up to 4 days to recover from just 1 hour of lost sleep, and up to 9 days to completely eliminate sleep debt. That catching up on weekends. It's not nearly as effective as you think. Even after 7 days of recovery, sleep following sleep restriction, only reaction time returns to baseline. Accuracy, memory, and mental processing remain impaired, demonstrating that recovery is incomplete even after a full week of proper sleep. This means that chronic sleep restriction creates a persistent cognitive deficit that can't be quickly resolved. Each night of poor sleep contributes to a growing debt that takes much longer to repay than most people realize. The weekend warrior approach to sleep recovery is fundamentally flawed. You can't binge sleep your way out of chronic sleep deprivation. Fact number 16. The social cost of sleep loss. Sleep deprivation doesn't just affect your cognitive abilities. It fundamentally changes your social brain. Sleep-deprived individuals show impaired ability to recognize emotional facial expressions and reduced empathy and social cognition abilities. This creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep makes you less socially competent, which can strain relationships and increase stress, which further disrupts sleep. You become less able to read social cues, less empathetic to others' emotions, and less skilled at navigating complex social situations. The implications for relationships, workplace performance, and general social functioning are enormous. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it makes you a less effective human being in almost every measurable way. Fact number 17. False memory formation. Sleep loss specifically impairs temporal memory, your ability to remember when events occurred in sequence, while other memory types may be less affected. But it goes further than that. Sleep deprivation increases the risk of forming false memories, as the normal memory consolidation process becomes disrupted. When you're sleep deprived, your brain struggles to properly timestamp and organize memories, leading to confusion about what happened when, and sometimes creating memories of events that never actually occurred. This has serious implications for eyewitness testimony, decision-making based on past experiences, and general reliability of memory in sleep-deprived states. Your brain essentially becomes an unreliable narrator of your own life. Fact number 18. Performance variability and circadian interaction. Performance decrements from sleep deprivation are worse during circadian low points, typically between 3 and 6 a.m. when combined with sleep loss. This shows the interaction between two separate biological systems, your homeostatic sleep drive and your circadian rhythm. It's not just about how long you've been awake, it's about how long you've been awake at what time of day. The combination creates multiplicative effects that can be devastating for performance and safety. This explains why night shift workers face such significant challenges, and why certain types of accidents and errors cluster around specific times of night, when both systems are working against optimal performance. Fact number 19. Risk-taking and reward focus. Sleep-deprived individuals show increased risk-taking behavior and impaired judgment, but not in the way you might expect. They don't just become reckless, they specifically focus more on potential rewards rather than considering downsides and risks. It's as if sleep deprivation creates rose-colored glasses for potential benefits, while dimming your vision for potential costs. This can lead to poor financial decisions, relationship choices, and career moves that seem appealing in the moment but ignore significant risks. The sleep-deprived brain essentially becomes an optimistic gambler, overvaluing potential gains and underweighting potential losses. Fact number 20. The microsleep phenomenon. During severe sleep deprivation, your brain begins taking microsleeps, brief episodes lasting from a fraction of a second to 30 seconds, where you're essentially asleep with your eyes open. These happen automatically, and you're often not aware they're occurring. During microsleeps, your brain shows sleep-like activity patterns, but you appear awake to observers. This is incredibly dangerous during activities like driving, where a 3-second microsleep at highway speeds means traveling the length of a football field with your brain essentially offline. The scary part is that microsleeps become more frequent and longer as sleep deprivation continues. But your awareness of them doesn't increase proportionally. You might be having dozens of microsleeps and only notice a few of them. Fact number 21. Real-time mood tracking revolution. Recent breakthrough research using real-time mood tracking of over 2,600 medical interns revealed something remarkable. Mood follows a predictable circadian rhythm, with the circadian system's influence increasing non-linearly as time awake increases. This study used Fitbit data to track actual sleep and wake patterns, then correlated them with mood reports throughout the day. The results showed that your mood isn't just influenced by external events. It follows an internal biological clock that operates independently of what's happening in your life. Understanding this natural rhythm helps explain why you might feel inexplicably down at certain times of day, or why the same event might affect you differently depending on when it occurs. Your emotional brain is literally programmed to experience different baseline moods at different times. This research revolutionizes our understanding of mood disorders and suggests that treatment timing might be just as important as treatment type. Fact number 22. The 6 chronotypes. Forget the simple morning lark and night owl categories. Scientists have identified 6 distinct human chronotypes based on comprehensive analysis of sleep-wake patterns and daily activity levels. Morning larks make up 13% of the population and are characterized by early rising and high morning activity. Evening owls represent 24% and show classic late-night preferences. But there are 4 other categories: daytime sleepy at 18%, moderately active at 16%, daytime active at 15%, and highly active at 9%. Each chronotype has distinct patterns of cognitive performance, mood regulation, and optimal activity periods. Understanding your specific chronotype can help you optimize everything from work schedules to exercise timing to social activities. This research suggests that the one-size-fits-all approach to daily schedules is fundamentally flawed. Different people are biologically programmed for different activity patterns. Fact number 23. The blue light precision. The discovery of exactly how light affects sleep has revolutionized our understanding of circadian biology. Blue light maximally suppresses melatonin at a very specific wavelength, 424 nanometers. The effects can last up to 4 hours before sleep, but recovery occurs within just 15 minutes of stopping exposure. This precision explains why different types of artificial light have dramatically different effects on sleep. It's not just about brightness, it's about the specific wavelength hitting specialized cells in your retina that directly communicate with your brain's master clock. These intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells don't just regulate circadian rhythms. They project directly to mood-regulating brain areas like the amygdala and habenula. This means light immediately affects your emotional state, independent of circadian effects. Understanding this precise mechanism allows for targeted interventions using specific wavelengths of light therapy. Fact number 24. Social jet lag. Approximately 80% of people experience social jet lag, misalignment between biological and social time due to different weekday and weekend sleep schedules. Evening chronotypes experience the largest discrepancies, sometimes living with the equivalent of several hours of jet lag every single day. This chronic misalignment between your internal clock and your social obligations creates ongoing stress on multiple biological systems. It's like living in a constant state of jet lag without ever traveling anywhere. Social jet lag is associated with increased risk of obesity, diabetes, depression, and cardiovascular disease. The health consequences of fighting your natural chronotype can be severe and long-lasting. Modern society essentially forces many people to live in chronic opposition to their biological programming. Fact number 25. Bipolar and directional travel. People with bipolar disorder show distinct jet lag patterns that reveal something fascinating about mood regulation. Eastward travel is more likely to trigger mania, while westward travel more commonly precipitates depression. This suggests that the direction of circadian disruption may influence the direction of mood change. Advancing your clock tends to trigger elevated mood states, while delaying your clock tends to trigger depressed mood states. This discovery has implications for travel recommendations for people with mood disorders and suggests that circadian manipulation might be a targeted treatment approach. Fact number 26. Morning light's cognitive benefits. Morning light exposure above 1000 lux doesn't just regulate circadian rhythms. It advances circadian phase and improves working memory, attention, and executive function throughout the day. Morning chronotypes show greater sensitivity to these effects. The cognitive benefits of morning light appear to be separate from the circadian effects, suggesting multiple pathways through which light influences brain function. Light essentially acts as a cognitive enhancer when timed properly. This explains why many people feel more alert and think more clearly on bright, sunny days, and why light therapy can be effective for both sleep disorders and cognitive enhancement. Fact number 27. Night shift and depression risk. Night shift workers are 40% more likely to develop depression compared to daytime workers, demonstrating the direct link between circadian misalignment and mood disorders. The risk increases with the number of night shifts worked and the duration of night shift work. This isn't just about sleep deprivation. It's about chronic disruption of the biological systems that regulate mood, hormone production, and neurotransmitter balance. Night shift work essentially creates a state of chronic circadian disorder. The health consequences extend beyond mood to include increased risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Working against your circadian rhythm has serious long-term health implications. Fact number 28. Evening chronotype brain changes. Evening chronotypes have localized atrophy in the mid-anterior, right hippocampus, and altered white matter integrity in frontal and temporal lobes, potentially explaining their increased vulnerability to mood disorders. These structural brain differences suggest that chronotype isn't just a preference. It's associated with actual differences in brain anatomy. Evening chronotypes may be biologically predisposed to certain cognitive and emotional challenges. However, evening chronotypes also show advantages in creativity, cognitive flexibility, and performance on complex cognitive tasks during their optimal hours. The brain differences that create challenges also create unique strengths. Fact number 29. Morning chronotype emotional advantages. Morning chronotypes exhibit better emotional regulation strategies, including increased cognitive reappraisal and decreased expressive suppression, along with higher conscientiousness. They're literally better at managing their emotions and more organized in their approach to life. This isn't just about personality. These differences appear to be linked to the biological systems that regulate both circadian rhythms and emotional processing. Your chronotype influences not just when you sleep, but how you handle emotions. Morning chronotypes also show lower rates of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, suggesting that alignment with social schedules provides psychological benefits beyond just convenience. Fact number 30. Light as immediate mood regulator. The specialized retinal cells that detect light for circadian purposes also project directly to brain areas involved in mood regulation. This means light can immediately influence your emotional state independent of any circadian effects. Bright light exposure can improve mood within minutes, not hours or days. This immediate effect is separate from the longer-term circadian benefits of proper light exposure. Light acts as both an immediate mood enhancer and a long-term circadian regulator. This dual pathway explains why light therapy can be effective for seasonal affective disorder and other mood disorders, even when circadian rhythms aren't obviously disrupted. Fact number 31. Newborn REM dominance. Active REM sleep accounts for approximately 50% of total sleep time in newborns, compared to 20% in adults. This massive proportion of REM sleep reflects the intense brain development occurring during the early months of life. Interestingly, neonatal smiles predominantly occur during active sleep, suggesting that even in the earliest stages of life, emotional processing is linked to REM sleep. These aren't just reflexes. They're signs of active emotional development happening during sleep. The high proportion of REM sleep in newborns supports theories that REM sleep is particularly important for brain development, neuroplasticity, and the formation of early neural networks. Fact number 32. Sleep and brain myelin. Sleep promotes oligodendrocyte proliferation and myelin synthesis, the insulation around nerve fibers that makes neural communication faster and more efficient. Childhood sleep IG markers strongly predict brain myelin content 3.5 years later. This means that sleep quality during childhood literally shapes the physical structure of the developing brain. Good sleep during critical developmental periods creates better neural insulation, leading to more efficient brain function throughout life. Poor sleep during childhood doesn't just affect immediate behavior and learning. It can have lasting impacts on brain structure and cognitive capacity that persist into adulthood. Fact number 33. The 3 to 4 month sleep revolution. Around 3 to 4 months, infants experience a permanent shift from newborn sleep patterns to mature sleep cycles, representing the development of circadian rhythms and consolidated sleep patterns. This isn't just a phase. It's a fundamental reorganization of sleep architecture. Before this transition, newborn sleep is largely driven by feeding cycles and basic physiological needs. After this transition, sleep becomes organized around circadian rhythms and shows the beginnings of adult-like sleep stages. This transition explains why many sleep training approaches become more effective after 4 months of age. The brain systems necessary for consolidated sleep simply aren't mature enough before this point. Fact number 34. Adolescent sleep wave reduction. Adolescence shows a dramatic 40% reduction in slow-wave sleep during the second decade of life, correlating with synaptic pruning and brain maturation. This isn't sleep getting worse. It's sleep reflecting massive brain reorganization. Slow-wave sleep is associated with neuroplasticity and learning. So the reduction during adolescence might seem counterintuitive. However, it reflects the brain becoming more efficient as unnecessary neural connections are eliminated and important ones are strengthened. This sleep change parallels the cognitive and emotional changes of adolescence, suggesting that sleep architecture reflects broader patterns of brain development. Fact number 35. Pubertal circadian shift. Pubertal hormones cause a biological shift in adolescent circadian rhythms, with melatonin onset occurring later and turning off later in the morning, creating phase delay. This isn't teenagers being rebellious, it's biology. The shift can be as much as 2 to 3 hours, meaning that a teenager's natural bedtime might be midnight or later, with natural wake times around 9 or 10 a.m., forcing adolescents to follow adult schedules fights against their biological programming. This biological shift explains why teenagers struggle with early school start times and why they're naturally more alert in the evening. Their brains are literally programmed to be night owls. During this developmental period, fact number 36. Gender differences in adolescent sleep. Hidden-C EEG studies reveal adolescent girls have significantly greater sleep spindle activity, amplitude, and frequency compared to boys, suggesting stronger thalamocortical circuits. These differences may contribute to different patterns of cognitive development and learning. Girls also show different patterns of sleep architecture changes during puberty, with some aspects of mature sleep developing earlier than in boys. These differences may contribute to observed differences in academic performance and emotional regulation during adolescence. The sleep differences between adolescent boys and girls reflect broader patterns of brain development that occur at different rates and in different ways between the sexes. Fact number 37. Adolescent sleep debt crisis. 60 to 70% of American teens live with borderline to severe sleep debt, with sleep deprivation associated with increased risk of depression, anxiety, and behavioral problems. This isn't just about feeling tired. It's about fundamental impacts on mental health and development. The combination of biological phase delay, early school start times, and social pressures creates a perfect storm for adolescent sleep deprivation. Most teenagers are chronically sleep deprived throughout their most critical developmental years. The consequences extend beyond academic performance to include increased risk of accidents, substance abuse, and mental health problems. Adolescent sleep deprivation is a public health crisis. Fact number 38. Sleep regressions as progressions. Sleep regressions often coincide with major developmental milestones, representing sleep progressions that indicate positive neurological development as the brain adapts to new capabilities. What looks like a step backward is actually a sign of development. Common regression periods at 4 months, 8 to 10 months, 18 months, and 2 years all correspond to major leaps in cognitive, motor, or language development. The brain reorganization that enables new abilities temporarily disrupts sleep patterns. Understanding this helps parents recognize that sleep regressions are often signs of healthy development rather than problems to be solved. The sleep disruption is temporary, but the developmental gains are permanent. Fact number 39. Napping and vocabulary development. Counterintuitively, infants who nap more frequently have smaller vocabularies and poorer cognitive skills, with nap structure serving as an indicator of developmental progress. More mature brains need less frequent napping. This doesn't mean napping is bad for development. It means that as brains mature, they become capable of longer periods of wakefulness and more consolidated nighttime sleep. Frequent napping might indicate slower development of sleep-wake systems. The relationship between napping and development is complex, with optimal nap timing and duration changing as cognitive abilities develop. Fact number 40. Aging and sleep architecture. Older adults experience decreased total sleep time, reduced REM and slow-wave sleep, and increased fragmentation. With these changes paralleling cognitive aging and increasing dementia risk. Sleep changes with aging aren't just about comfort. They reflect fundamental changes in brain function. The reduction in deep sleep stages may contribute to age-related cognitive decline, as these stages are particularly important for memory consolidation and brain maintenance. Poor sleep quality in aging may accelerate cognitive deterioration. However, some age-related sleep changes may be adaptive, reflecting different sleep needs as brain activity patterns change with aging. Not all sleep changes in aging are necessarily problematic. Fact number 41. Depression-sleep connection. 75% of people with depression have trouble falling or staying asleep, with sleep disturbances often preceding depressive episodes by months or years, establishing bidirectional causation. Sleep problems aren't just a symptom of depression, they're often a cause. The relationship creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep increases depression risk and depression worsens sleep quality. Breaking this cycle often requires addressing both sleep and mood simultaneously. Sleep-focused interventions can be effective treatments for depression, sometimes working as well as traditional antidepressants. This suggests that sleep dysfunction may be a core feature of depression rather than just a side effect. Fact number 42. Insomnia's true nature. Insomnia affects 4 to 22% of the population chronically, with cognitive hyperarousal being a key feature rather than just fatigue, creating tenfold higher risk of developing depression. Insomnia isn't just about being tired, it's about the brain being unable to shift into sleep mode. People with insomnia often show increased brain activity during sleep attempts, as if their arousal systems won't turn off properly. The problem isn't just physical fatigue, it's mental hypervigilance that prevents the transition to sleep. This hyperarousal can persist even when the original causes of insomnia are resolved, creating chronic insomnia that requires specific interventions targeting the overactive arousal systems. Fact number 43. COMISA, the double burden. People with COMISA, comorbid insomnia, and sleep apnea, show worse neurocognitive performance than those with either condition alone, demonstrating additive effects. Having both conditions creates cognitive impairment greater than the sum of the individual conditions. This highlights the importance of comprehensive sleep evaluation, as treating only one condition when both are present may leave significant impairment unresolved. The interaction between different sleep disorders can be more devastating than either alone. Fact number 44. Schizophrenia's sleep disruption. 78% of people with schizophrenia experience sleep disturbances versus 39% in healthy controls, with sleep problems often preceding acute psychotic episodes. Sleep disruption may be both a trigger and an early warning sign of psychotic symptoms. The sleep problems in schizophrenia aren't just about difficulty falling asleep. They include fundamental disruptions in sleep architecture, with reduced slow-wave sleep and abnormal REM patterns. These changes may contribute to the cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia. Addressing sleep problems in schizophrenia can sometimes improve psychotic symptoms and cognitive function, suggesting that sleep dysfunction plays a direct role in the disorder, rather than being just a side effect. Fact number 45. Delayed sleep phase and depression. Over 60% of people with delayed sleep phase syndrome experience depression, with increased rates of suicidal ideation, particularly among adolescents, where the condition affects 7 to 16%. The misalignment between biological and social time creates psychological stress. Living with delayed sleep phase means being chronically jet-lagged in your own time zone, constantly fighting against your biological clock to meet social obligations. This chronic stress contributes to mood disorders and social difficulties. The condition is often misunderstood as laziness or poor discipline, creating additional psychological burden when the real problem is a biological disorder of circadian timing. Fact number 46. PTSD, sleep terror. 90% of PTSD patients experience insomnia, with 50 to 70% having recurring nightmares that replicate traumatic experiences, creating fear-based conditioning around sleep. Sleep becomes associated with trauma rather than rest and recovery. The nightmares in PTSD aren't just bad dreams. They're re-experiencing symptoms that can be as distressing as the original trauma. This creates a fear of sleep that perpetuates insomnia and prevents normal emotional processing. Sleep problems occurring 1 or more months post-trauma predict PTSD diagnosis at 1 year, demonstrating sleep's role as both symptom and predictor of trauma responses. Early sleep intervention after trauma might prevent chronic PTSD. Fact number 47. Bipolar sleep trigger. 80 to 90% of people with bipolar disorder experience sleep disturbances before manic episodes, with sleep loss potentially triggering mania through predictable patterns. Sleep disruption isn't just a symptom of mania. It's often the trigger. As little as 1 night of significantly reduced sleep can precipitate a manic episode in vulnerable individuals. This makes sleep monitoring and protection crucial for preventing mood episodes in bipolar disorder. The relationship is so strong that sleep patterns can be used to predict and prevent mood episodes, making sleep hygiene a critical component of bipolar disorder management. Fact number 48. Sleep apnea's mental health impact. Sleep apnea creates 5-fold higher depression risk due to chronic hypoxic insults and repeated arousal-based sleep disruptions affecting brain function. The repeated oxygen drops and sleep fragmentation literally damage brain tissue over time. The cognitive effects of sleep apnea can mimic depression, dementia, and attention disorders, leading to misdiagnosis when the underlying sleep disorder isn't recognized. Treating sleep apnea often dramatically improves mood and cognitive function. Untreated sleep apnea essentially subjects the brain to chronic stress and oxygen deprivation, creating inflammation and cellular damage that contributes to multiple mental health problems. Fact number 49. Restless legs and narcolepsy. Restless leg syndrome shows 14.7% prevalence in narcolepsy patients compared to 3.0% in controls, with associated anxiety and depression from disrupted sleep architecture. The combination creates multiple layers of sleep disruption. The relationship between these conditions suggests shared underlying mechanisms involving dopamine pathways and arousal regulation. Having both conditions creates particularly severe sleep quality problems. The anxiety and depression associated with these conditions often result from the chronic sleep disruption and the impact on daily functioning rather than being separate psychiatric conditions. Fact number 50. Sleep disorders as mental health indicators. Sleep problems are often the first sign of developing mental health issues, appearing months or years before other symptoms become apparent. Changes in sleep patterns can serve as early warning systems for mental health professionals. This predictive relationship suggests that monitoring sleep quality might be one of the most effective ways to identify people at risk for developing mental health disorders. Sleep screening could become a preventive mental health tool. The bidirectional relationship between sleep and mental health means that treating sleep problems often improves mental health. And treating mental health problems often improves sleep. Integrated treatment approaches are most effective. Fact number 51. GABA sleep dominance. GABA is found at approximately 30% of central nervous system synapses and serves as the primary sleep neurotransmitter, with sleep-promoting cells using GABA and galanon to inhibit arousal systems. GABA essentially turns off wakefulness to allow sleep. The sleep-wake transition isn't just about getting tired. It's about active inhibition of wake-promoting systems by GABA-releasing neurons. Sleep is actively generated, not just the absence of wakefulness. Many sleep medications work by enhancing GABA activity, but chronic use can lead to tolerance and dependence as the brain adapts to artificial GABA enhancement. Natural GABA regulation is more sustainable than pharmaceutical intervention. Fact number 52. Dopamine's REM surprise. VTA dopaminergic neurons show strong activation during REM sleep, similar to their activity during consuming palatable food, overturning traditional views of dopamine's sleep role. Dopamine, associated with reward and motivation, is highly active during dreams. This suggests that REM sleep and dreaming may be inherently rewarding experiences, which helps explain why REM sleep deprivation is so psychologically distressing. Dreams may literally feel good at a neurochemical level. The dopamine activity during REM might also contribute to the often bizarre and emotionally intense nature of dreams, as dopamine is involved in both motivation and the formation of unusual associations. Fact number 53. Hypocretin's stabilizing role. Hypocretin neurons in a lateral hypothalamus stabilize arousal states rather than generating them. Their loss causes narcolepsy with cataplexy through failure to maintain wake stability. These neurons act like a switch that locks you into either wake or sleep states. Without hypocretin, people experience unstable arousal, falling asleep unexpectedly and entering REM sleep directly from wakefulness. The sleep-wake switch becomes unreliable, leading to intrusions of one state into the other. This discovery revolutionized understanding of narcolepsy and highlighted the importance of arousal state stability rather than just arousal level for normal sleep-wake function. Fact number 54. The hypothalamic sleep switch. The hypothalamus contains a sleep-wake switch with mutual inhibition between sleep-promoting VLPO neurons and wake-promoting TMN neurons, creating stable states rather than intermediate ones. You're either awake or asleep, not somewhere in between. This mutual inhibition system prevents mixed states and ensures clear transitions between sleep and wake. When the system malfunctions, you get conditions like narcolepsy, where the states become unstable. The switch-like nature explains why the transition between sleep and wake is usually rapid rather than gradual, and why intermediate states are usually temporary and unstable. Fact number 55. Default mode network deactivation. During NREM sleep, there's progressive deactivation of the default mode network, particularly between posterior and anterior midline nodes, essential for loss of self-referential thinking. Your sense of self literally goes offline during deep sleep. The default mode network is active when you're awake and not focused on specific tasks, maintaining self-awareness and autobiographical thinking. Its deactivation during sleep allows for the loss of self-consciousness that characterizes deep sleep. This deactivation may be necessary for effective memory consolidation, as reduced self-referential processing allows for more objective organization of experiences and memories. Fact number 56. Melatonin's dual role. Melatonin serves dual roles as both a circadian time cue and sleep promoter, with deficiency associated with circadian rhythm disorders and mood changes. It's both a clock signal and a sleep signal for the brain. Melatonin levels naturally rise in the evening, signaling to the brain that it's time for sleep while also providing information about the time of day. This dual function makes it effective for treating both sleep disorders and circadian rhythm problems. The relationship between melatonin and mood suggests that circadian disruption may contribute to mental health problems through effects on this hormone system. Fact number 57. Cortisol's circadian dance. Cortisol follows circadian patterns with peaks at 9 a.m. and nadirs near midnight. Elevated nighttime cortisol disrupts sleep, while poor sleep dysregulates cortisol patterns. The stress hormone and sleep systems are intimately connected. When cortisol patterns are disrupted, both sleep and stress response systems become dysfunctional. High evening cortisol makes it difficult to fall asleep, while poor sleep elevates cortisol, creating a vicious cycle. The cortisol-sleep relationship explains why stress management is crucial for good sleep, and why good sleep is essential for stress resilience. The two systems regulate each other. Fact number 58. Sleep spindle coupling changes. Sleep deprivation eliminates the precise coupling between fast spindles and slow oscillation peaks that characterizes young adult sleep, with aged coupling patterns predicting worse memory consolidation. Sleep deprivation makes your brain age prematurely. The coupling between different sleep oscillations is crucial for effective memory consolidation. When this coupling is disrupted, memories aren't processed properly during sleep. Sleep deprivation creates an aged brain pattern, even in young people. This suggests that chronic sleep deprivation may accelerate cognitive aging and that maintaining good sleep is crucial for preserving youthful brain function throughout life. Fact number 59. Benzodiazepines and receptor changes. Benzodiazepines enhance GABA activity at specific GABA receptor sites. But chronic use leads to receptor downregulation and uncoupling, requiring higher doses and contributing to dependence. The brain adapts to artificial GABA enhancement. Long-term benzodiazepine use can actually worsen sleep quality as the brain becomes dependent on artificial GABA enhancement and natural sleep systems become suppressed. Withdrawal can create severe rebound insomnia. The tolerance and dependence that develop with chronic benzodiazepine use highlight the importance of natural sleep regulation and the risks of long-term cyclical sleep aids. Fact number 60. Sleep apnea's brain aging. Obstructive sleep apnea causes white matter hyperintensities similar to aging. Every 10% decrease in slow-wave sleep creates brain damage equivalent to 2.3 years of aging. Sleep apnea literally ages your brain faster. The repeated oxygen drops and sleep fragmentation in sleep apnea create chronic stress on brain tissue, leading to inflammation and cellular damage that accumulates over time. Untreated sleep apnea can cause premature cognitive decline. This brain aging effect emphasizes the importance of treating sleep apnea, not just for sleep quality, but for long-term brain health and cognitive preservation. Fact number 61. Japanese sleep paradox. Japanese participants sleep significantly less than European Canadians, yet report less fatigue and better perceived health despite lower sleep efficiency, suggesting cultural beliefs about sleep health relationships vary substantially. Culture shapes how we experience sleep deprivation. The Japanese cultural emphasis on productivity and different attitudes toward rest may influence how sleep loss is perceived and experienced. Social expectations can modify the subjective experience of sleep deprivation. This suggests that the relationship between sleep duration and health outcomes may be partly mediated by cultural beliefs and expectations about sleep needs. Fact number 62. Global co-sleeping patterns. Cross-cultural studies show 96% of predominantly Asian families have children sleep with parents, versus 57% of predominantly Caucasian children falling asleep independently in their own beds. Sleep arrangements are deeply cultural. Co-sleeping is the global norm, not the exception. Western emphasis on independent sleep is actually unusual from a cross-cultural perspective. Different cultures have developed different solutions to the challenges of family sleep. Countries with high co-sleeping rates like Japan have among the world's lowest SIDS rates, 0.2 to 0.3 per 1,000 versus 0.5 per 1,000 in the US, suggesting implementation methods matter more than the practice itself. Fact number 63. Sleep genetics. Twin studies show 40% heritability for insomnia symptoms and 46% for sleep duration, with individual genetics determining chronotype and vulnerability to sleep deprivation. Your sleep patterns are partly written in your DNA. Genetic factors influence not just how much sleep you need, but how you respond to sleep loss, what time of day you naturally feel alert, and your risk for developing sleep disorders. Sleep is a highly heritable trait. Understanding the genetic basis of sleep helps explain why sleep recommendations need to be individualized, and why some people struggle more with sleep problems than others. Fact number 64. Gender and sleep quality. Women have 1.4 times higher insomnia risk than men, with 65.1% of young adult women versus 49.8% of men reporting poor sleep quality, persisting even after controlling for other factors. Gender significantly influences sleep quality. The gender difference in sleep quality may be related to hormonal fluctuations, different stress responses, or social factors that disproportionately affect women's sleep. The causes are likely multifactorial. Sleep-deprived women become more risk-averse and show decreased inequity aversion compared to men, who become more risk-taking, suggesting gender-specific responses to sleep loss. Fact number 65. Ancestral sleep vigilance, Hadza. Hunter-gatherers revealed that over 1/3 of adults remain alert or lightly sleeping at any given time, providing group-level protection reflecting ancestral sleep patterns. Human sleep evolved for group survival, not individual comfort. This natural vigilance rotation suggests that some sleep problems might be evolutionary adaptations for group protection. Different people being alert at different times would have provided survival advantages for early human groups. The finding challenges assumptions about normal sleep and suggests that variations in sleep patterns might serve important social and survival functions. Fact number 66. Cultural sleep company. Anthropological studies of 186 non-industrial cultures found 67% of children sleep in company of others, with co-sleeping viewed as protective and integral to family emotional patterns. Solitary sleep is culturally unusual. The emphasis on independent sleep in Western cultures is relatively recent and culturally specific. Most human cultures throughout history have emphasized communal sleeping arrangements for children and families. Different cultural approaches to sleep reflect different values about independence, family relationships, and child development. There's no single correct way to organize family sleep. Fact number 67. Personality and sleep quality. Twin studies examining personality and sleep quality reveal that the relationship between personality, traits, and sleep problems has both genetic and environmental components. Your personality type influences how you sleep. Neurotic individuals are more likely to experience insomnia, while conscientious people tend to have better sleep hygiene and more regular sleep schedules. Extroverts may be more vulnerable to social jet lag. Understanding personality influences on sleep can help tailor sleep interventions to individual characteristics and identify people at higher risk for sleep problems. Fact number 68. Cultural beliefs and sleep health. Sleep interventions must consider cultural beliefs about sleep health relationships, family sleeping arrangements, and culturally specific risk factors, as normal sleep varies dramatically across cultures. One size does not fit all in sleep medicine. Different cultures have different beliefs about optimal sleep duration, the importance of napping, appropriate sleep environments, and the relationship between sleep and health. These beliefs influence both sleep behavior and treatment acceptance. Effective sleep interventions need to be culturally adapted to be acceptable and effective in different populations. Universal sleep recommendations may not work across all cultural contexts. Fact number 69. Evolutionary sleep advantages. Human ancestors likely benefited from mixed sleep patterns within groups. with different individuals maintaining vigilance, while others entered deep sleep for group protection. Sleep diversity was a survival advantage. Humans show shorter total sleep duration but highest proportion of REM sleep among primates, suggesting ancestors gained fitness advantages from being active longer while maximizing memory consolidation. The evolution of nest building by great apes, 14 to 18 million years ago, represents a major transition toward modern human sleep behaviors and improved sleep quality. Our sleep evolved along with our technology. Fact number 70. Individual sleep optimization. The convergence of genetic, personality, cultural, and evolutionary factors suggests sleep psychology requires highly individualized approaches considering chronotype, personality factors, cultural background, and gender-specific responses. There is no universal, optimal sleep pattern. Individual differences in genetics, culture, personality, and life circumstances all influence what constitutes healthy sleep for any given person. Future sleep medicine will likely move toward personalized approaches that consider individual biological, psychological, and cultural factors rather than applying universal standards to everyone. Fact number 71. CBT. Proven effectiveness. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia produces average reductions of 19 minutes in sleep onset latency and 26 minutes in nighttime awakenings, with 70 to 80% of patients experiencing improvements through addressing perpetuating factors. CBTI works by targeting the thoughts, behaviors, and environmental factors that maintain insomnia rather than just treating symptoms. It addresses the cognitive hyperarousal and maladaptive behaviors that perpetuate sleep problems. The effectiveness of CBTI demonstrates that insomnia is often maintained by psychological factors that can be modified through targeted interventions. Changing how you think about and approach sleep can dramatically improve sleep quality. Fact number 72. Mindfulness and sleep. Mindfulness-based stress reduction shows significant improvements in sleep quality. Depression and anxiety, specifically reducing pre-sleep cognitive arousal that perpetuates insomnia. Calming the mind is often the key to calming sleep. Mindfulness practices help break the cycle of racing thoughts and worry that often keep people awake. By learning to observe thoughts without getting caught up in them, people can reduce the cognitive arousal that prevents sleep. The benefits of mindfulness for sleep extend beyond just falling asleep faster. It also improves sleep quality, reduces nighttime awakenings, and enhances the restorative value of sleep. Fact number 73. Bedtime routines, neural impact. Consistent bedtime routines lasting 30 to 60 minutes create psychological signals for sleep readiness by activating the parasympathetic nervous system and training circadian rhythms. Routines literally program your brain for sleep. Bedtime routines work by creating conditioned responses that trigger the physiological changes necessary for sleep. The routine becomes a signal to the brain that it's time to begin the sleep preparation process. The key is consistency. The same activities performed in the same order at the same time each night create the strongest conditioning effect. Variability in routine reduces its effectiveness. Fact number 74. Sleep restriction therapy. Sleep restriction therapy, a component of CBT, temporarily limits time in bed to match actual sleep time, then gradually increases as sleep efficiency improves. Paradoxically, sleeping less initially can lead to sleeping better. The therapy works by consolidating fragmented sleep into a shorter but more solid sleep period. Once sleep becomes more efficient, sleep time is gradually extended while maintaining good sleep quality. Sleep restriction can be challenging initially, but is one of the most effective interventions for chronic insomnia. It essentially retrains the brain to associate bed with efficient sleep rather than wakeful struggle. Fact number 75. Light therapy applications. Light therapy using specific wavelengths and timing can treat seasonal affective disorder, circadian rhythm disorders, and even some cases of insomnia. Light is medicine for the circadian system. The key to effective light therapy is using the right intensity, wavelength, timing, and duration. Morning light advances circadian phase, while evening light delays it. The timing determines the effect. Light therapy is often more effective and has fewer side effects than medications for circadian rhythm disorders. It works by directly resetting the biological clock rather than artificially inducing sleep. Fact number 76. Sleep hygiene principles. Sleep hygiene involves optimizing the sleep environment and behaviors to promote good sleep. This includes maintaining consistent sleep schedules, creating a comfortable sleep environment, and avoiding substances that interfere with sleep. However, sleep hygiene alone is often insufficient for treating chronic insomnia. While necessary, it's usually not sufficient without addressing the cognitive and behavioral factors that maintain sleep problems. The most effective approach combines sleep hygiene with cognitive and behavioral interventions that address the specific factors, maintaining each individual's sleep problems. Fact number 77. Exercise and sleep quality. Regular exercise improves sleep quality, reduces sleep onset time, and increases deep sleep, but the timing of exercise matters. Evening exercise too close to bedtime can be stimulating and delay sleep onset. Exercise appears to improve sleep through multiple mechanisms, reducing stress hormones, improving mood, increasing body temperature regulation, and enhancing circadian rhythm strength. The sleep benefits of exercise are most pronounced in people with sleep problems. Regular exercisers generally report better sleep quality and fewer sleep complaints than sedentary individuals. Fact number 78. Nutrition and sleep. Diet affects sleep quality through multiple pathways. Caffeine can disrupt sleep for up to 8 hours after consumption. Large meals close to bedtime can cause discomfort and interfere with sleep onset. Certain nutrients may promote sleep. Tryptophan, magnesium, and melatonin precursors in foods may have mild sleep-promoting effects. Though the evidence is mixed for most dietary supplements, the relationship between nutrition and sleep is bidirectional. Poor sleep affects appetite, hormones, and food choices, while poor nutrition can negatively impact sleep quality. Fact number 79. Technology and sleep disruption. Electronic devices emit blue light that can suppress melatonin production and delay sleep onset. The content consumed on devices can also be mentally stimulating and increase cognitive arousal. However, technology can also be used therapeutically for sleep. Sleep tracking apps, white noise machines, and light therapy devices can all support better sleep when used appropriately. The key is using technology intentionally to support sleep rather than allowing passive consumption of stimulating content close to bedtime. Digital sunset routines can be as important as behavioral ones. Fact number 80. Medication considerations. Sleep medications can be effective for short-term use, but often become less effective over time due to tolerance. They also don't address the underlying causes of sleep problems and can create dependence. The most effective long-term approach usually combines short-term medication, used with behavioral interventions that address the root causes of sleep problems. Medication can provide relief while behavioral changes take effect. Stopping sleep medications often requires gradual tapering and intensive behavioral support to prevent rebound insomnia. Withdrawal should be medically supervised. Fact number 81. Personalized sleep medicine. Future sleep psychology research should focus on identifying specific neural circuits underlying sleep-emotion interactions, developing personalized treatment algorithms, and examining cultural factors influencing sleep-mental health relationships across diverse populations. Advances in genetics, brain imaging, and wearable technology are making it possible to develop personalized sleep interventions based on individual biological, psychological, and lifestyle factors. Machine learning algorithms may soon be able to predict optimal sleep schedules, identify early warning signs of sleep disorders, and customize treatment approaches for individual patients. Fact number 82. Biomarker development researchers are working to identify biological markers that can predict sleep disorders, treatment response, and optimal intervention timing. Blood tests, genetic analyses, and brain imaging may soon guide sleep treatment decisions. Circadian biomarkers could help identify optimal timing for medications, light therapy, and behavioral interventions. Personalizing treatment timing based on individual circadian patterns may improve effectiveness. Sleep biomarkers might also help identify people at risk for developing sleep disorders before symptoms become severe. Enabling preventive interventions. Fact number 83. Digital therapeutics. Digital therapeutics for sleep, including apps, virtual reality, and online CBTI programs, are showing promise for making effective sleep treatments more accessible and affordable. These digital interventions can provide personalized feedback, track progress over time, and deliver interventions at optimal moments based on real-time data from wearable devices. However, the effectiveness of digital sleep interventions varies, and more research is needed to identify which digital tools work best for which types of sleep problems. Fact number 84. Neurofeedback and brain training. Neurofeedback and brain training approaches are being developed to directly train the brain patterns associated with good sleep. These interventions aim to strengthen the neural networks that promote healthy sleep. Early research suggests that training specific brainwave patterns during wake or sleep may improve sleep quality and reduce insomnia symptoms in some individuals. However, neurofeedback requires specialized equipment and training, limiting its current accessibility compared to behavioral interventions. Fact number 85. Chronotherapy advances. Advanced chronotherapy techniques are being developed to precisely manipulate circadian rhythms for treating sleep disorders, mood disorders, and cognitive problems. These might include precisely timed light exposure, melatonin administration, meal timing, and activity scheduling to optimize circadian function for individual patients. The goal is to develop protocols that can reset and optimize circadian rhythms more effectively than current approaches. Fact number 86. Sleep and longevity research. Research into the relationship between sleep and longevity is revealing how sleep quality affects aging, cellular repair, and lifespan. Good sleep may be one of the most important factors for healthy aging. Studies of centenarians and other long-lived populations consistently find that good sleep quality is associated with longevity and healthy aging. Understanding how sleep affects cellular aging processes may lead to interventions that promote longevity through sleep optimization. Fact number 87. Workplace sleep integration. Forward-thinking employers are beginning to recognize the importance of employee sleep for productivity, creativity, safety, and healthcare costs. Workplace sleep programs may become standard benefits. These might include flexible schedules based on chronotype, nap facilities, education about sleep hygiene, and support for employees with sleep disorders. The economic benefits of well-rested employees in terms of productivity, creativity, and reduced healthcare costs are beginning to be recognized and quantified. Fact number 88. Social sleep interventions. Community-level interventions to improve population sleep health are being developed, including changes to school start times, lighting in public spaces, and social norms around sleep. These interventions recognize that individual sleep problems often have social and environmental causes that require community-level solutions. Changing social attitudes toward sleep and creating environments that support healthy sleep may be necessary for addressing the sleep health crisis. Fact number 89. Sleep equity research is beginning to address sleep health disparities and the social determinants of sleep quality. Access to good sleep is increasingly recognized as a health equity issue. Factors like neighborhood safety, noise pollution, work schedules, and housing quality all affect sleep and vary across socioeconomic lines. Addressing sleep health disparities will require interventions that address social and environmental factors, not just individual behaviors. Fact number 90. Integration across disciplines. The future of sleep psychology will likely involve greater integration across disciplines, combining insights from neuroscience, psychology, medicine, anthropology, and technology to develop comprehensive understanding and treatment approaches. This interdisciplinary approach recognizes that sleep is influenced by biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors that all need to be considered for optimal treatment. The complexity of sleep requires expertise from multiple fields working together to develop effective interventions and understand the full scope of sleep's impact on human health and well-being. As we reach the end of our journey through these 100 fascinating facts about sleep psychology, one truth becomes crystal clear. Sleep is not the passive, unconscious state we once thought it was. It's an active, sophisticated biological process that shapes every aspect of our mental and physical health. Your sleeping brain is working harder than you ever imagined, running complex programs for memory consolidation, emotional processing, creativity enhancement, and psychological repair. Every night, you're essentially running a complete mental health and cognitive optimization program that operates at superhuman speeds and with incredible precision. The facts we've explored reveal the staggering cost of our cultural neglect of sleep. When we sacrifice sleep for productivity, we're not just feeling tired the next day, we're literally making ourselves less intelligent, less emotionally stable, less creative, and less capable of learning and adapting. The epidemic of sleep deprivation in modern society isn't just an individual health problem. It's a collective crisis that affects everything from traffic safety to economic productivity to mental health rates. We're paying an enormous societal price for treating sleep as optional rather than essential. But these facts also reveal enormous promise. Understanding how sleep actually works opens up possibilities for dramatically improving human potential that we're only beginning to explore. When we work with our natural sleep systems rather than against them, the results can be transformative. The research on sleep psychology shows us that optimal sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about unlocking our full cognitive potential, enhancing our emotional resilience, boosting our creativity, and maximizing our capacity for learning and growth. Each of us has the power to apply these insights to transform our own sleep and, by extension, our lives. Understanding your chronotype, optimizing your sleep environment, practicing good sleep hygiene, and respecting your individual sleep needs can have profound effects on your mental health, cognitive performance, and overall well-being. The facts we've discussed aren't just interesting scientific curiosities. They're practical tools for optimizing one of the most important biological processes affecting your daily life. The investment you make in understanding and improving your sleep will pay dividends in every other area of your life. But individual change isn't enough. The facts about sleep psychology challenge us to rethink our collective attitudes toward sleep and rest. We need social changes that support healthy sleep, later school start times for adolescents, workplace policies that respect chronotype differences, urban planning that considers light pollution and noise, and cultural attitudes that value rest as much as activity. The sleep revolution isn't just about personal optimization. It's about creating a society that recognizes sleep as a fundamental human need and structures itself to support rather than undermine healthy sleep for everyone. The cutting-edge research we've explored points toward a future where sleep medicine is personalized, where we understand the genetic, cultural, and individual factors that determine optimal sleep for each person. We're moving toward treatments that work with our natural biology rather than against it. The integration of technology, neuroscience, psychology, and medicine is creating possibilities for sleep optimization that previous generations couldn't have imagined. We're on the verge of understanding sleep at a level that will revolutionize how we think about human potential. Tonight, when you close your eyes and drift off to sleep, remember that you're not just resting. You're engaging in one of the most sophisticated biological processes on Earth. Your brain will replay your experiences at 20 times normal speed, strengthen weak memories, process emotions at the optimal 4 Hz frequency, and possibly even solve problems that stumped you during the day. Your dreams aren't random neural noise. They're your brain's way of processing emotions, simulating threats, and recombining experiences in creative ways that might lead to genuine insights. The nightmares that sometimes disturb your sleep are actually training sessions, helping you prepare for real-world challenges in the safety of your dreams. Every sleep spindle that travels across your cortex, every REM episode that floods your brain with dopamine, every slow oscillation that coordinates memory consolidation is part of an intricate dance of neural activity that makes you more capable, more resilient, and more adaptable than you could be through waking experience alone. Sleep isn't time stolen from life. It's the foundation that makes everything else in life possible. It's the secret to unlocking your full human potential, the key to optimal mental health, and the pathway to a life of greater creativity, emotional resilience, and cognitive capability. The 100 facts we've explored today represent just the beginning of our understanding of sleep psychology. As research continues to unveil the mysteries of sleep, one thing becomes increasingly clear. Investing in your sleep is investing in the best possible version of yourself. So tonight, give your brain the gift of quality sleep. Your memories, your emotions, your creativity, and your future self will thank you for it. Sweet dreams, and remember, while you sleep, your brain is working to make you extraordinary.